Hi, welcome to How to Be a Humane Leader Without Losing Your Job. We're here to chat about humane leadership in a way that's real and relatable, tackling work-life challenges, and offering practical advice to navigate tough decisions. Whether you're leading a team or navigating your own career, we got you covered. I'm Roberto Torres, a startup engineering leader, and with me is Chris Ollerkin, a Fortune 100 IT leader. We'll dive into the real world stuff, share experiences, and offer guidance on leading with compassion while keeping your career on track. Today, we will discuss how to become a humane leader when half your team are your friends. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing good, Roberto. Good to see you again, and happy New Year. We're almost through the month of January already. The year's going by quick.
Yeah, indeed. We have some stuff that we had to do on these weeks, but happy to see you as well. Well, um, have you faced this before? You know, that maybe you've been in rising in the ladder and maybe your peers or your friends suddenly become your team members. Have you faced this before?
I have certainly faced it where my peers, I wouldn't necessarily have called them close friends. We all have different experiences, but I had both pre my professional career and also in my professional career, where peers we're all competing for those same leadership roles, right? You're going up the pyramid. And eventually you're going to have work friends where you're both competing for the same job. You may both even interview for it. And I'll tell you that's actually probably the toughest situation is if you know you and a coworker that maybe you go to lunch with quite a bit. Maybe you're not friends outside of work, but let's say you're friends at work so that you each socialize together a lot at work and you're both competing for the same role and you get it and the other person does not. That has been the most awkward situation that I've run into. And I think as a humane leader, especially a new leader, maybe it's your first leadership role, so you don't have as much experience in that kind of potential disruption, right, of your friendship. Is I would just recommend you just be upfront about it. Hey, Roberto, I know you were interested in the role too. We were both talking about going through the interview process and the challenges we're having. I'm sorry you didn't get it and I did, but I want you to know that I still want us to have a friend relationship at work, but I am now the supervisor too. So sometimes there are going to be times when I have to tell you things or I have to um, give you feedback on your performance that you may not want to hear from me. But as a leader, I just want you to know that I'm going to be overly fair with you. So, make that extension to your friend that, look, I know we've been peers the last year, 2 years, 3 years, however long it's been, but you know me and you know that I try to be fair and humane. And just know that I'm going to be extra double sure I do that with you because I value the relationship that we have. So while we can still be friends for some things, there are some things where I have to be the leader and I will do my best to be the humane leader, but sometimes I got to be a boss. So if you're doing something wrong, let's say I know that Roberto likes to take 25-minute coffee breaks when we're really only allowed 15-minute coffee breaks. I know this because you and I both did it. We were both
Mhm.
breaking the rule together. Well, now I'm the leader and I have an obligation in this role to maintain the company's rules. And so I'm not going to get you in trouble for taking that 25-minute break because I did it too. But it's got to stop because I know it's happening now. Our previous person that I took the role from didn't know this, but I do. So, please help me out here. I don't want it to be a problem. So, have that kind of open dialogue. Roberto, you just can't keep taking 25-minute coffee breaks. What do you think, Roberto? Could you, do you think you can get back and take the appropriate amount of time? Just have an open discussion with your friends.
Yeah, indeed. This team member could be a water cooler friend or to be out of the office friend.
Yep.
But you have created some rapport with this friend, now team member, and you had to have a strong soft skill, which we have spoken, T, which is communication. And this direct communication in maybe in your first one-on-one or knowing previously all the, I wouldn't say negative nor bad stuff, but the things that you used to do with him or with her, and now that you are the leader, that has to change. It's something really important. The thing is, would this person uh, would obey your orders or would say, come on, Chris, come on, man, you're my buddy. Yeah, okay, you rose to this position, but you're my buddy. And I think that we had to define this thin line between buddy, you know, and manager or your supervisor, because otherwise, when when you say another, you give another, the person won't that team member won't obey what you're saying, and you had to have authority because one thing was to have body, it was your body, but the other thing is the authority that you had to present. You don't have to scream, you don't have to raise your voice, but they have to know that you had the authority that was given by your leadership team. So this doesn't have to become a fight, but you had to say, "I'm the leader. I had the responsibility of this team, so you had to do this." No?
Yes, and acknowledge that it's awkward. Be upfront. Look, this is awkward. Roberto, I was, rooting. I was hoping because there were other candidates applying for the job too. So if I wasn't the choice, I absolutely wanted it to be you. And as a humane, even individual contributor, right? As a humane employee, we want to be able to put ourselves in the other person's shoes. So I want, if I didn't get the role, I didn't want somebody from outside the company to get it. I wanted Roberto to get it, but I got it. So I now realize, hey, this is going to be kind of awkward for you, Roberto, now that I'm the supervisor. So let's talk about it a little bit, and is there something I need to do differently with you for a period of time as we adjust, right? Because guess what? The other team members also know that you and I were good work friends, right? And I might not be as close with the other team members that I'm now the supervisor for. There's going to be some awkward dynamics there where they think, well, Chris is just going to let Roberto keep taking 25-minute breaks and he's going to make us stop at the official break time. That's not fair. Then your whole team revolts. But you and I, because we're close, let's have that conversation. Roberto, this is why I can't treat you differently for those breaks that you and I both broke the rules on before. I cannot continue to let that happen because the rest of the team will see that I'm treating you special. And while you're my friend, and yeah, sir, sometimes I may choose you to work on a special project with me because we have a good working relationship. I have to treat the team fairly and I need to follow the company's policies, but have that open dialogue with your friend. Put yourself in his shoes. That's what humane people do, right? Whether we're a leader or not. We put ourselves in Roberto's shoes and how does he feel? One, he's disappointed. He tried to apply for the job and didn't get it. And I did recognize that, acknowledge it, and have a discussion about it. It doesn't need to be long necessarily, certainly not initially, because maybe Roberto's a bit shocked even. He's like, well, I got along with Chris, but man, I thought I was 10 times better than Chris. So how come he got it? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, there might be some bad feelings towards that you got that promotion and not me. I think that I'm better. I think that excuse me. I think that I could become a better leader. Why the leadership team didn't chose me and chose you? So I think that in this talk, um, your body, your friend, requires to let it out because he or she might say, "Yes, I'm going to be," but deep within, why not me and why he? So I think this is an ongoing conversation that has to be done because the most important thing within a company is to provide results of the goals that we have. If we don't do that and we became close to our bodies, to our friends, and we don't do what is required from us, we will be expendable. So we require to understand that in a company, results and goals are the most important thing. And if you have a friend or a buddy who didn't reach this position or wasn't, but you got to this position in which you had this kind of responsibility, well, you must convey the message that, guess what? I'm in a new position and I had these responsibilities and I have to do this. Are you coming with me? Do not say, are you coming with me or not? No, you don't try, but at least give the other person the the time and the words from him to say what he thinks. And it's this kind of motivation that a humiliated, in this case, a new one, has to use these tools to convince or excuse me, not convince, to motivate this guy.
Yes, yes. And you mentioned a key word, time. Different people will take a little bit more time or less time to adjust to this, right? So again, depending on the relationship, um, if this person doesn't move through the kind of changes rapidly, some people adapt to change very rapidly, some people don't. So do try and assess the amount of time that the other person needs to fully kind of come around to, all right, this is, this decision's been made, business made it, this is how it's going to be. So give them some time. And as you have mentioned before, the humane leader listens more than they speak.
Mhm.
Obviously, there are some key things you have to communicate, not only to your friend, but to the whole team, right? You need to communicate the team, the leadership did select me. Unfortunately, Roberto, you didn't get it. And I am aware of things where we were breaking company policy and we can't do that anymore because I'm aware of it. So be open with it, but give them a little time to adjust to that change in the relationship. Don't expect it to be, well, tomorrow, then everything's going to be perfect. Roberto may feel sad for a while, may be angry for a little bit, so give and whatever the appropriate amount of time is, you'll have to use some judgment. But time is critical on this one. I think it does take a little while to adjust to it. The other thing, is you may have to, depending on the situation, you may have to openly to the team declare that I'm gonna treat everyone fairly. My goal is to be a humane leader at this. And yes, hey, rest of the team, I have a really good relationship with Roberto. I know I'm not as close to the rest of you as I am with Roberto, but realize I am going to do my best to be as fair as possible. And if you don't feel I'm treating you fairly or I'm favoring Roberto, call me out on it. Come to me, talk to me about it, point out where I'm going wrong because I'm new to this too. I didn't expect to be the leader. I interviewed because I was interested in it. The decision's made, and now I'm going to do my best to do the job as well as I can. But please, other team members who are not my close friends like Roberto, please feel comfortable in coming to me if you feel I'm not being fair, because I want to be fair.
Yeah, and to have bias, excuse me, to have unbiased, not to be biased, but your friendship, not to be biased because he was your buddy. No, you have to be biased, and I think that is a good approach to the whole team, because I'm going to treat you well, I'm going to treat you objective, and the numbers will be the same for everybody. So if for instance, everybody has to do, I don't know, 10 units per day. I'm going to expect that you do 10 units by day. And the thing is, if we're going to work, let's say 7.5 hours, I expect those ones, and not try to be rigid because you mentioned something important. Change is something that people are different embracing. Some people would say, I don't like this change, but he's my superior and I will obey him because that is the chain of command. And some others might be different, but you have to have these one-on-ones and discuss it because one thing is, to know a person because he was your buddy and you have maybe the same disagreements over the superiors. But now that you're in this position in which you had to lead a team, well, that is different. So you must be unbiased too and take away that personal history that that person gave you before, at the company, it's not that you have to be rigid, as I mentioned, but it is, I know your capabilities, I know your skills, I know what you can do, and lead that person towards that. Take away what you knew about this person and try to motivate intrinsically that team member.
Yes, yes. And acknowledging that you're going to have some challenges,
Yeah.
especially, if you're a young person and this is one of your first times of being a supervisor and you've got friends on your team, that makes it extra challenging. It's hard enough to become a humane leader, but to have the challenge of some of the team members being your friends too is, an extra level of challenge. So, seeking out, you're doing the right thing already. You're listening to our podcast, right? There's the first step. You're acknowledging that maybe there's some advice, some life experiences that old guys like us might have seen some challenges before, and learn from that. Because that's one of the first steps of being a humane leader, is just recognizing you don't know it all. So listen to other opinions, observe what other leaders are doing. Do you see some other leaders who had taken over roles where you knew some of the team members were their friends? What did you observe? Maybe it was sometime when you're working on a team and somebody got promoted and you knew part of the team was friends with that new leader. What did they do? And is there some behaviors that you saw there that you knew were totally wrong? So you knew, hey, I'm not going to do that because, they continued to favor that person and give Roberto all the best roles and let Roberto take extra breaks. And we all then hated Roberto because of that, because he was getting favoritism from the new leader, Chris. Well, don't do that then, right? Observe what others have done maybe in your work experience that failed and recognize that that definitely won't work. It will not, and maybe in the short run, it might be okay, but in the long run, you're going to destroy the team's morale, their work ethic. Favoritism is never ends well. It may start out to get certain things done, but favoritism will run into problems eventually.
Yeah, indeed. And the thing is, um, we have an obligation to the team, you know. We had to treat everybody fairly, and we don't have to have a favorite one, as we have spoken before. And doing that is to understand what everybody does and how do they do it and who is best at doing what. So we had to guide our team towards those results. So if we know that maybe this body do, does hate doing certain kind of things, but he has the best quality of doing that labor, well, we're going to discuss that with him or her and say, okay, guess what? Now that I'm the team leader, I recognize that you have the best skills doing this. That it takes you time, yes. That you might not enjoy it, yes, but you do it the best. And guess what? We are a team now because we were before buddies, but we are friends. But right now, we are a team, you and I, and the other people around. So, in order for this team to thrive and to become better and have greater results, you are an important piece of this machinery, of this God. So, let's talk with him. And maybe he or she haven't found the motivation or had a bad leader before, but that doesn't mean that we're going to copy and paste what the other team leaders did. We are going to use our skills as a human leaders towards that goal, and we're going to guide the whole team towards that.
Yes, you got to decide what kind of leader you're going to be
Mhm.
and how you're going to approach things. What is your philosophy? And certainly as old guys like us that have more experience, we've had years to kind of form that. The new leader, which is I think the scenarios where you're most likely to end up leading friends, right? Because you're newer to the workforce and things like that, is to recognize, that this philosophy develops over time. So you will not be the perfect humane leader. You will not be the perfect leader, period, right out of the box. You're going to make some mistakes, acknowledge them quickly. If they are mistakes with your friend and how you're treating your friend, be upfront and change course quickly. Don't let the mistake, whether it's being overly harsh to your friend because you feel like you need to be correct all the things at once to show that you're not being favoritism. So you're too far to the one side of being too harsh. Don't be too nice. Give Roberto extra coffee breaks because I want to make sure I don't destroy the friendship. Just adjust over time, but make sure you're on a path of improvement, right? And we've talked about that kind of in general before. As long as we're improving and making changes and overall things are improving, then you're on the right path. But don't let things fester. Don't let things get entrenched. Bad behaviors get entrenched. Whether that's ignoring what Roberto is doing wrong or giving Roberto favors and all the perfect, easy assignments. We try and correct over time, a little bit at a time. Don't be too drastic, but it can work. And in my instances, I'd say out of maybe 8 times that it happened with various levels of kind of friends that were competing for roles, I'd say most of the time it worked out. Occasionally it won't. And maybe that was because the friendship wasn't as strong as you thought. Or maybe that other person is just so hungry for a leadership role that they're willing to sacrifice the friendship so that they can be a leader someplace else. And that happened in my life too, where they went on to leave I'm leaving the company because not that they didn't like me. It's just, look, there's only, as you go up the pyramid, there's only so many places at the top. And sometimes that competition, means, they've got to go someplace else. We stayed friends, actually stayed in touch and everything, but, realize that sometimes it's not just you. You got the role, but everything in the relationship's not under your control. So do the best you can as a humane leader, communicate it, and then see what happens.
True words, and I totally agree with you. And I will, before we end this podcast, I will give you what I said to all my teams, regardless the experience that I had or them. Fail often, fail smart. Every time that you fail, learn from that, understand, and fail smart because you don't want to repeat those failures. But you while you keep learning and trusting yourself and understanding your decisions, you will fail smart.
Absolutely. Learn from your mistakes.
Indeed. Well, that was a great episode, my man, and I will see you next time.